One morning, my family and I went to my grandparents' house in Mississauga. My sister and I always used to play in their backyard, which overlooked a sprawling ravine. I was especially excited today because my sister and I had planned to hike down the ravine before lunch. The climb down was a bit more difficult than I had expected due to the steep hillside, but my sister, being 3 years older, seemed to make short work of it. Once we reached the bottom, we were off into the woods. It was only a minute or two before we came across an old run-down hut. It looked as if someone had been squatting in it years earlier. We slowly approached the front door, and I got a bit of a glimpse inside. Everything was dirty and moldy, looked as if it had been long abandoned. Without warning, my sister loudly yelled, "We have to leave, now!" The sheer panic in her voice was enough to get me to not even give it a second thought. We quickly turned away from the hut and started to run. I barely got one step in before I saw it. In plain view, there was a pile of severed limbs from the elbows and knees down. I could barely comprehend what I was seeing or how I had only just now noticed such a horrible monstrosity. Every little remnant of skin had been savagely torn away, revealing the rotting flesh beneath it, all stacked in a disturbingly neat pile against an old mossy maple tree. I stood in shock, staring at the tidy pile of torn limbs for what seemed like hours. Eventually, my sister frantically tapped my arm in horror. She was staring terrified at the second tree to our left, which was covered in all the missing skin, tightly stretched over the bark and nailed into place as if trying to give the tree a second skin. It was then that we both heard the sharply clear whisper,
"They'll never find you."
I instantly felt the urge to scream at the feeling of absolute terror as we started running as fast as we could towards the steep incline of the ravine edge. I used my hands as extra momentum against the steep terrain. My sister was quite a ways ahead of me. After running for what seemed like forever, I could hear my mom's cheery voice laughing and joking with my grandparents in the backyard. I saw my sister disappear over the sharp crest of the hillside. I could hear her screaming to my mom and hear them both realizing that I hadn't made it to the top yet. I was just able to see into the backyard, see my mom running towards me, and it happened. I slipped at the edge of the yard and started to slide back. I had only missed my mother's outstretched hand by mere inches. I had almost stopped myself sliding as my foot caught on something and I tumbled. I couldn't even feel the pain of rolling through the sharp brush on the hillside as I was overcome by the fear of where I could be falling to. As I tumbled, I repeatedly caught glimpses of the tattered old hut. I noticed a faint figure of a large man covered in dark blood, creeping ever closer to the bottom of the hill's edge. This was it. I was going to land directly at his feet. With a final grasp at a tree branch, I hit the ground with a bone-shattering thud. And then, nothing. Only darkness. I could feel my body shiver in a piercing sweat. It took me a while to realize that I was in bed. So frightened that I literally couldn't move. I could still feel the nightmare man's intense stare as I tried to regain my composure. I lay perfectly still, with my eyes shut as tightly as I could clench them. And out of the darkness, the same sharp, crisp whisper I heard,
"They'll never find you."
Hey, Creepypasta fans. So, it's been a while since I read a creepypasta or just about did anything except for voice acting on this YouTube. Admittedly, it was very hard to find a video editing program for free. In fact, I had to go back to my roots and adjust the compatibility for this video to be possible, actually. Special thanks to Muji, which you probably recognized his music in this video. He does top quality, free to use music. So if you guys want to get in on that, he's used by a lot of other creepypasta narrators, which, by the way, I've noticed a steady incline in their popularity recently. Mr. Creepypasta has his own amiibo and a bunch of other websites and podcasts. I've noticed he seems to be doing pretty well, so props to him. Lazy Masquerade and Corpse Husband seem to be very popular lately as well, even though they're a little bit absent, which I can totally understand. I mean, life comes first, guys. We all know. But if you like more real scary stories, then you definitely want to listen to Lazy Masquerade and Corpse Husband, because they do a great job. They go on 4chan, Reddit, find the creepiest stories and bring them straight to you guys, hot and fresh. Also, an old friend of mine, Obscure Domain, he recently changed his name from Plague Pasta. He's up and running, sort of doing his own thing. You should check it out. So if you guys have any suggestions, real stories or just favorite creepypastas, hey, maybe you wrote one, drop them there in the comment section and I'll check them out, and then maybe you'll actually hear them in the next video. Also, if you guys want to give me like a catchphrase or something, that would be kind of neat, because you know, some of the guys have their little outro phrases. So yeah.